All right, everybody, I'm going to talk a little bit about a film that came out 20 years ago. Wow, been 20 years already. 1997, 20-year anniversary of the film Boogie Nights. Some of you might remember this. Some of you probably never heard of this movie. But this is kind of the movie that put Mark Wahlberg on the map as an actor. He kind of had some smaller parts up until this role in Boogie Nights. Kind of was his breakout role. Boogie Nights was a film that actually was a breakout film for a lot of people. Um, there were a lot of big name stars in this movie that went on to have pretty glamorous, pretty solid careers. Of course, Mark Wahlberg, Julianne Moore, Burt Reynolds. Of course, I mean, obviously he was established in Julianne Moore somewhat. Don Cheadle, kind of his breakout role. John C. Reilly was in this movie before he kind of hit it big in comedy. William H. Macy, one of his first known roles. Heather Graham, you remember her? She was kind of a fringe actress up until this point. Philip Seymour Hoffman, kind of his breakout role. Luis Guzman. Uh, Tommy Jane was in this movie as well, kind of his breakout movie as well. Alfred Molina was in the movie. He was singing Sister Christian. And Robert Downey Sr., Michael Penn was in it. I think that's Sean Penn's brother, actually. He's dead now, but anyway. But Boogie Nights was a movie basically about the porn industry in the 1970s and early 80s before the onset of videotapes. When you actually had to go to a movie theater to watch pornography. What the movie was about was Dirk Diggler. A lot of you have heard the news or the name Dirk Diggler. Kind of a little catchphrase everybody uses now and then when they talk about pornography. But this movie was pretty interesting movie. I remember going to it. It kind of blew me away. How it kind of hit you in the face a little bit, about the industry and what it was really like. Loosely based on the life of John Holmes, who was another porn star, died of AIDS actually in the 80s. But loosely based on that, Mark Wahlberg's character, Dirk Diggler, was kind of modeled after John Holmes, whose career was almost ended by cocaine addiction. And you'll see that in this movie as well, in Boogie Nights, where Wahlberg's character, Dirk Diggler, gets sidetracked from the drug addiction and he can no longer perform, in the movies or whatever because he can't get a boner. It's a pretty interesting movie, made for 15 million, modest 43 million at the box office. Was up for a lot of awards. It actually Leonardo DiCaprio was up for the role that went to Mark Wahlberg, but he took the Titanic role. Burt Reynolds, I think he won an Oscar for his role in the movie as Jack Horner. I think this is the porn king of California or something like that. Paul Thomas Anderson was big shot director, one of his first real popular acclaimed films. And the music for the film was pretty catchy. They had some pretty catchy tunes all throughout the film. They actually had two, I think, soundtracks come out for it, and tons of songs that weren't featured on the soundtrack as well. But Burt Reynolds is up for Best Supporting Actor. He actually won, Golden Globe. I'm sorry, he didn't win an Oscar, but Julianne Moore was up. Paul Thomas Anderson was up. British Academy Awards, a bunch of nominations. Screen Actors Guild Awards, their ensemble was nominated. This was a great movie. I mean, if you're not, it's not a kids' family movie, obviously, but if you want to just be entertained by some strange subject matter and some crazy acting, a great acting, and just a weird story that's kind of fascinating, this is the movie for you. I recommend it. I was pleasantly surprised when I saw it in the theater. It's not just about pornography. It's about these people's everyday struggles and how they deal with problems in their lives, what brought them to the world of pornography. It's pretty interesting. I'm not a big fan of Rotten Tomatoes, but it had a 92% positive ratings on Rotten Tomatoes. So and of course it's praised by many people. So if you get time, rent Boogie Nights, look it up, Amazon or whatever your movie. I don't think it's on Netflix or anything like that, but rent this movie. It's pretty long. It's like 2.5 hours long. But John C. Riley, uh, he's hilarious in this movie. I mean, he's funny as shit. This is like one of the first times I remember this guy, in a movie, and you can kind of see that he kind of plays that sidekick role to a T. And then of course Wahlberg does a great job in this movie. Probably in my opinion, his best acting that he's ever done. But again, you can judge for yourself. Rent this movie. Heather Graham, she's not really doesn't do much anymore, but one of her bigger roles. Uh, yeah, rent this movie if you got time. Put the kids to bed, give it a shot.